in the book because I think it's very important. At some point, Hillary's press secretary comes out and says, rumors about the secretary's health are a conspiracy theory started by Roger Stone utilizing forged documents. I don't know what documents she refers to. When I see a woman of her age who needs help going up one stair, when I see her constantly falling down on her keister behind the podium, in front of the podium, when I see she's traveling with who appears to be a nurse's aide with a syringe ever at the ready, when she keeps coughing and can't stop, when her husband says in an interview with CBS, oh yeah, she has seizures and passes out all the time, and they edited it out, I'm sorry, the woman didn't have the stamina. She is gravely ill. She is not as sick as her husband, who I will predict right here will pass on to his maker before the end of this year. New York Democrats who are socially close to the Clintons tell me he is gravely ill. Now, a lifetime of cocaine abuse, as I detailed and documented in the Clintons' War on Women, and chasing and late nights and revelry,
and his heart issues
will take its toll.
And his heart issues. He did not look healthy during the campaign.
No, and Reverend Al Sharpton told me that he convinced former President Clinton to become a vegan, but it evidently has not helped.
Roger, a minute left. The book, of course, is available all over the place. Just came out, and success there to you. Give us your websites, if you would.
Sure. You can get the book at rogerstone.com. No D, rogerstone.com. You can go to stonecoldtruth.com. You can go to makingofthepresident16.com. The New York Times list, I noticed, the books in positions 14 and 15 in their bestseller list both have a lower Nielsen book scan number than this book. Mathematically, therefore, if Nielsen's about 80% of the book market, it would almost be impossible for those books to be ahead of this one. What I'm saying, folks, is it is on the cusp of being a New York Times bestseller. If you want to stick a thumb in the eye of those who say the Russians did it, buy this book because it debunks that chapter and verse. So I commend it. And, George, I thank you immensely.
Thank you, Raj,
for being here.
Get some sleep.
Manuscript for this book. And by the way, the book is, among others, dedicated to Dr. Jerry Corsi, who I've learned an enormous amount about being a good investigative reporter from Dr. Corsi. In many ways, Alex Jones, he was the MVP when it comes to the election of Donald J. Trump. Certainly his nomination could never have without Alex Jones making a fundamental decision to get in early and stay all the way. Nobody has been more forthright or more consistent or more, good-natured about their all-out support for Donald Trump.
Oh, he was. And I got to tell you, Alex Jones was not a George Bush supporter. So, Alex is not Democrat. He's not a Republican. He calls it by the person. And he just felt Donald Trump was the person to support.
Yeah, they just at a certain point they clicked. Of course, Alex, very historically, the president did Alex's show, and he is well aware of the Info Wars Army. Commented to me, how come I see so many of these blue Hillary for Prison T-shirts? And I listened to him, and
he got it.
So, look, those guys are really hurt me to get this down. Back in December, I was on a regimen of having to produce 2,000 words a day in order to make our publication deadline because I wanted to be on theoretically at the inauguration. Shortly before Christmas, I became very ill. Horrific rash all over my face and my chest, kind of down my arm.
Sounds like poison to me.
That's what my doctor concluded, and I went to 2 different hospitals for blood tests and analysis, and they determined that I had been poisoned with some exogenous substance that had, a radioactive aspect. So something like polonium,
which is what was used to kill that Russian.
right? So if we wanted to kill somebody and make it look like it was done by a Russian, this would probably be your drug of choice.
Yeah.
They conclude that for whatever good luck or design, I evidently did not ingest enough of the poison, whatever it was, to kill me. But I had a fever of over 100 degrees for 17 days straight.
Jeez.
Before it finally broke. I do not recommend this, George.
No.
A weight loss regimen.
It's not fun.
So anyway, but I became ill at exactly the time that the members of the Senate, the chairman of the Senate Intelligence Committee, Mr. Burr, and the vice chairman, Mr. Warner, Mr. Burr, a former used car dealer, Mr. Warner, a guy who made a one-time score in cell phones, and that they were going to probe the alleged Russian collusion and that I would be called as a witness. I think I was poisoned shortly thereafter. Bad news for at least some people. I survived.
You survived. That's right.
Now, fast forward to roughly a week ago, there is a call by first by John McCain, who, at this point in his life, I must tell you, John is mentally unbalanced. I mean, he really needs a serious psychological evaluation. I think he's bitter, he's angry, he's acting erratically. He has a knee-jerk opposition to anything Donald Trump is for, he's against. It really must bother him that, he worked his way up the chairs, he was in the House, then the Senate, ran for the nomination, lost it, ran for the nomination, finally won it, ran in the general election, lost. And he sees a guy like Donald Trump who makes it look effortless, who just waltzes right to the White House. There has to be a certain, you can see a certain bitterness. But McCain comes out, a man, by the way, I've known fairly well, supported him when he ran against George W. for all the obvious reasons. Anything is preferable to a Bush. And supported him again, helped him win the Florida primary in 2008, which propelled him to the nomination. He said I should be compelled before the committee to explain my ties to the Russians and to Yukounovich. I assume he meant the Ukrainian.
The former Ukrainian, right?
Former Ukrainian dictator, come president, come refugee. A man who our State Department allowed to be run out of office at the point of a gun after Viktor Pinchuk, the richest man in Ukraine and associate of George Soros, gave $10 million to Hillary. She then agreed to look the other way.
Interesting.
Now we recognized Yukounovich's election. I'm not saying he was a pip, but the way this works is you have to replace him by election or impeachment, not by shooting him in the head or running him to the border at gunpoint, which is what they did. Here's the problem. I don't know any Russians. I have had no association with any Russians. The notion that the brief Twitter exchange I had with a hacker named Crucifer 2, who is alleged, I outlined that, alleged to be a Russian hacker, the idea that that constitutes collusion is disproved by the content. I published all of it. It's banal. It's a nothing burger. It's what, when I was a lobbyist, we used to call the Washington belly rub.
Well, even if people had relations with Russia, isn't that healthy during an election in order, just in case you get elected, to be able to have a relation with Putin, for example?
Well, it certainly is from Donald Trump's point of view. I think that's precisely...
It's better than a Cold War as far as I'm concerned.
Well, that's the real issue here. Look, Trump has Putin's measure. He knows he's a tough guy. He knows he's out of the KGB. He knows that their system stinks, that it oppresses Christians and oppresses women and oppresses Jews and oppresses gays. Doesn't like it. The alternative is thermonuclear war over Syria. Hillary promised the Pentagon and the CIA an expanded proxy war. Don't worry, boys, get me in there. I'll get you your war with Russia. They were jonesing. Think of the millions to be made in defense munitions, George. Millions. And then, of course, Donald Trump comes along, and he would prefer détente. He'd prefer a negotiation, see if we might have peace. You see, this country's broke. We can do what we did in Libya, borrow $1 billion in bombs, literally bombs. So the instant you drop them, that investment is made.
That's gone. Yeah.
Or you could borrow the $1 billion to rebuild our bridges and our roads and our tunnels and our schools and our hospitals and our airports and our crumbling 1950s style infrastructure. That's the dilemma a President Trump faces. So he'd like to try peace. You know, give peace a chance, as they used to say. And that's really what the issue is here. The government wants to tell us Julian Assange works for the Russians. No, he doesn't. Stop saying that. You have no proof of that. But when a senator or a congressman, this Congressman Adam Schiff, says WikiLeaks, is run by the Russians. Congressman, sit down and shut up. You're revealing your stupidity. That is false.
Well, part of the problem right now, Roger, is all this bickering over this, and we'll get into a little more of Russia and those wiretap possibilities. It's taking away from our ability to get things done in this country. I mean, I'm waiting for his tax reform and all these other issues, and we can't get there with all this other stuff.
The whole purpose of it, in my opinion, I think the purpose of it has been sliding. He wins the election. Now we go into a phase. Fortunately, we don't elect presidents by popular vote. Then we try a recount. That doesn't work. I wrote a piece before the election for The Hill, a publication, that said that I had a concern that these computerized voting machines could be easily hacked and manipulated. Not on a central basis, on a decentralized basis. In other words, all the machines in Cuyahoga County, Ohio, which is Cleveland. And David Brock and George Soros and the other paid running dog lackeys just attacked me vociferously about how crazy this was, how irresponsible it was. After Trump won, in the recount, Hillary filed affidavits in both Michigan and Wisconsin, working with Jill Stein, who sold to Hillary for a substantial amount of money, one presumes, to do this recount. And their only complaint, George, their only specific in their demand for a recount was that these computerized voting machines can be easily hacked. Proceed. It's breathtaking. The woman believes in nothing. She will tell any lie, anything to claw her way to more cash, more power.